Is there anyone monitoring? Not hearing anything.
I hope we're muted.
No. I have unmuted. I don't hear anything.
What did it say about the host?
Host has asked us to unmute, which we did. What about chat? Anything?
Well, it says mute right now.
That's only if we want to mute it.
Oh,
Message sent here. Okay, that's just
what if you click on launch meeting?
that's just a screen.
It doesn't do anything.
No.
Okay.
Okay, connecting to audio. They're trying to get.
Hey,
Yes,
welcome.
Larry, can you hear us?
I now can. That's great.
All right.
Andy,
Good job.
can I get you to sign in?
Yes, where would I do that?
And can I ask you just to sign in?
So tell Larry he doesn't need to sign.
Larry, you don't need to sign in.
All right. That was quick.
Hey, come on in. Can I get you to sign the list? And there are water and cookies. The list is there. Whew, filling up. All right.
It's a good thing we're not in the Duxbury.
Yeah, no kidding. Welcome. Thank you. Yeah, or we may have to go swipe another bunch.
Two in the back row.
Yeah. One right here, one in the front.
Yeah, and we've got a couple extras.
Very, how are you? Good. Matt, very, grab your signature.
I think we've got 4 here still.
Oh, I couldn't.
So
You got more, yeah.
I think we did a good job estimating.
Am I showing up?
You're back up and around.
A little bit.
I heard you bike accident. I heard you took a bike accident.
Hey,
Yeah.
welcome. There's a sign up sheet here.
Oh, so you think you
go
go
up
more
grab
and you go up the little, up the hill.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
hear the wall door.
Can you move your name so that I show?
Right.
Next to Dan.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, excellent, yeah.
You the next stop?
The house before us, on the corner, yeah.
Oh, that's right, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, I remember when, that's right, that's been a while.
Yeah. Well, no, not on the corner of Eastbrook and.
You're the next stop.
What you looking for?
I'm just letting Larry see if it's here.
That house.
And, you know, that house and Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, and John's on as well. Cool.
Yeah, he just joined.
Everybody wave.
That's right.
You have a station set up at your house? I've got like 2 meters.
Sure, go for it. There's one chair in the back. There's one here as well. That's a cushy chair. It's probably better.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I mean, I can actually like. 10 meters.
Somebody else comes, I'll grab some chairs. Should probably get us up.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Thanks. All right. Cool. All right. Well, we'll kick off. Thank you all for coming to this launch meeting for the Los Altos Hills Amateur Radio Club. It's great to see you all here. Appreciate you coming out tonight. My name's Bill. Oops. Hi there, are you okay? Okay. There's a sign-up sheet here. And there's a chair in the back. Ouch. So my name's Bill Latin, KK6 PCA, and basically this is something that's been brewing for a long time, and I'm glad you could all make it faster than a speeding bullet.
Oh, that's right.
Here we go. So this is the kickoff meeting tonight. So thought I'd share with you kind of the vision we have for starting this club, and then go through how we see it possibly running from meeting to meeting, talk a little bit about the proposed bylaws, the membership structure and dues, talk about what we want to do for meetings, talk about candidates for office. All those of you with your backs to the wall cannot take one step back. So we'll be looking there, and then working on next steps. So basically, who's doing this? Well, this has been a brainchild really of Dave Stewart and Neil Caton and myself. It's been bubbling along for over 6 months. I've came to ham radio through CERT. Been a CERT member for a long time, since probably 2015 or something. And Larry Carr started a recon function there with Neil. And ham radio is a key part of that, forming the eyes and ears for the town. Welcome. There's a sign-up list Thanks. And anyway, so I'm just a technician, but I too like to learn. So I'm hoping the Ham Club will take us there. Neil, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
So I'm the town emergency coordinator for Aries Races and looking, I mean, I'll say a different set of words, less about me and more about, it's really the middle bullet. We had a set of functions that the ECC was doing. That kind of fell by the wayside, and we're looking for doing those functions and supplementing them with more things that might be interesting to the general hand community in town.
Dave, do you want to say anything?
Not really.
Excellent. So as Neil said, basically, I don't know if you all are familiar, but the Emergency Communications Committee was about a 20-year-old committee that's been superseded by now the EPRC. And the ECC looked after the town's ham radio room, looked after repeaters, and basically helped assure. Hi there. Yes, it is. And so with the demise of that group, the radio room sort of drifted off, and the repeater group went to or stayed with the emergency group run with Dave Gilmore and Sam Wood. But we're trying to bring this back. We need to form up. We need to get a stronger community here. We need to get the town radio room back with steady staffing in the event of an emergency, et cetera. So that was really the driver for getting this going. What do we want to do with this club? A lot of people that we've talked to would really like a social environment. So, you know, this is putting faces to call signs, et cetera. So, you know, we're thinking of a structure where it's a social club. We get together, we can have tech talks on topics that people find of interest. This could be, you know, anything from repeater design, VLF, LoRa, any other type of technology that folks want to learn about. You know, I'm interested in all these things. This is open, but the idea, I think, is that we could have, like the ECC did, a 30 minute to hour-long talk at each meeting, where it's a chance to explore a particular topic in some depth. And then I could see the club doing things to support Los Altos Hills and Los Altos in terms of their public events. So this could be things like the Festival of Lights Parade. It could be things like the 4th of July parade, Pathways Run, et cetera. So I see the club potentially having, you know, an outreach capability as well. Go ahead. Yep. As Neil mentioned, Aries Races is a very important slot right now. Neil is the EC and I'm the AEC. You know, yes.
For those who don't know,
Or what EC or AEC?
Hey, this is Ham. It's all acronyms. Well, Neil, seeing you're a director of specs, go for it.
So the very short answer is Aries Races is emergency communication. Aries is amateur radio emergency service that's run by the ARRL. Races is something else that's government run in a declared emergency. EC is emergency coordinator, AEC is assistant emergency coordinator. And let me just ask, can the remote people hear me, or do we need to use the other mic?
Larry, can you hear us, or John, can you hear us? Can you hear Neil?
Yeah, once I get the chance to figure out where the unmute button is, I'm doing well. Yes, thank you.
But you could hear Neil?
Yes.
Okay. So, so these are emergency functions. And the other type of emergency function would be to provide assistance to the Los Altos Hills County Fire District's CERT team. So this is providing ham radio support for their reconnaissance teams, And so these are basically deployed into the field. There's a checklist of critical infrastructure that needs to be surveyed. And once critical infrastructure is surveyed around the town, this includes things like water tanks, freeway overpasses, schools, churches, et cetera. Once that's surveyed, they can go out and survey general neighborhoods as well. The ARC is where the CERT function is based. This is at Foothill College in the parking lot. We operate out of a big shipping container there. And so basically there's the directed net for recon is run out of there. And then we have communications with the town through there. There may be other emergency wireless data projects that we might be interested in. Arden is one of those, which is 100 megabit or 50 megabit up data through ham radio at the 5 gigahertz rate, which is pretty cool. And certainly, you know, this is your club too. So we're open to going wherever you want to go with it. I think that's the main point. These are things that we throw up on the wall and they stuck. But you know, there may be a lot of other things that you'd like to explore. So as the months go on, you know, we can get an agenda set and roll these out. Next slide. In terms of the club organization, basically the plan is to organize as a California nonprofit. We'll be serving the Los Altos Hills County Fire District and the town of Los Altos Hills. So the County Fire District includes some unincorporated Santa Clara County space by Magdalena South. So it sweeps that up. So we have a pretty broad area of operation. There are 2 membership classes. One is a full member, basically someone residing in the LAH CFD. That encompasses the town of Los Altos Hills. And then associate members, and that's anyone residing outside the town or the LAH CFD who's interested in ham radio and just wants to join a club. We're certainly open to that. Full members basically can vote on items brought before the members. Associate members are there to support the club. And, you know, we're happy to take on agenda topics brought by them and so on. The voting quorum you can read here. The board of directors will be officers and up to 4 non-officer directors. Everybody serves on an annual basis. If you can move the screen around. This is most important. If you're having trouble sleeping, I encourage you to click on that and read the bylaws because that's what we're proposing to use. We are looking for a few volunteers to go through and help you know, make sure the bylaws are in the right spirit everywhere and are stating the correct things. So I think we'll come back to this at the end of the night, but do think about helping draft the bylaws, helping solidify them. Next slide. Dues. I want your money. No, the club wants your money. There are expenses running the club. You know, they're just the various startup fees, and then perhaps most important are meeting refreshments. You know, so we are looking for dues. I'm proposing $5 a year as dues. This is what Specs charges, the Southern Peninsula Emergency Communication System. The Ames Radio Club charges their members $20 a year. So I think 5 is a good way to get out of the gate. We have lots of folks here. You know, I think probably our biggest ongoing expenses will be meeting refreshments and bank fees and you know, anything around the tax year if needed. I would like feedback on $5 as member fees. Hope that's okay with folks. Anybody have an objection or an alternate suggestion?
Yes, and how many members you can have? $5 doesn't sound like a lot to me. That's all I would say. So
Yeah,
if
well,
you can make it $5, that sounds great. But
well, we are the Los Altos Hills County Fire District is going to fund some of our activity, and also we're hoping that the town of Los Altos Hills will also fund our activity because we are proposing to look after the radio room. Neil.
just to give people an idea of what expected expenses are, we talked about food. Just filing taxes every year with the state is about $85. And if we get directors and officers insurance, which some directors have signed, that's $300. So those are like the big ticket items that provide a floor of how much it costs to keep it on the club.
I've got a request. You had something on the screen right there a little while back. Would you possibly put it back?
The pictures?
Whatever. We're being blinded down here.
Oh, sorry. Do you want me to tilt the board? Do you want me to tilt the board?
Well,
I
he's getting
know.
great reflection right back off.
Yeah.
That's better.
Perfect. Perfect. So, as Neil points out, there are hard expenses, but we have a number of sources, and I think $5 from the members would be good. If it turns out we're not covering our running rates, then the next year would probably have to up to, $10 or something like that. But the idea is not to make it onerous. All right, next slide. So, question to the group. How frequently do you want to meet? Do you want to do what we're doing tonight, which is in person plus Zoom? Do you want to just do in person? I'm up for anything. What do you think about in terms of how frequently do you want to meet?
Depends on what we're going to do.
Well, if we were,
If it's going to be set up like this, not very often. If it's going to be sort of a social thing where we can get together and get to know each other in person and have name tags with our call signs, which is sort of what I was expecting, more of a gathering than a club, then maybe more often than that.
yeah, we're a little bit pressed right here for space, obviously, tonight. The town is renovating their council chambers. There's a sign-up sheet running somewhere around here. All right. And so once the town chambers are rejuvenated, hopefully we'll be in there, so we'll have more space. And I think we can then have a social component where we can spend time socializing. I guess my mental model was, some period of time socializing, whether it's 15 minutes or half an hour at the start, and then maybe move to a tech talk to explore one of these issues of interest to the members. But it's up to you. We could also do one meeting is strictly social, say, and alternate then with a meeting with tech talks. It's really up to you. We're open to anything. Neil.
I've heard a lot of people pine for the ham bake every year. So I'll just put that out there that was one of the popular ECC things that people would ask for.
Yeah, so that was a thing that the ECC, the Emergency Communications Committee, used to do at the end of the calendar year.
Offshoot of ECC, or do you see this as a social club of hams in the area?
This is completely independent of the town. So it's not.
Do we really need to be a 501c3? Do we need the organization, or can we just gather?
No. So I think we need a little more formal structure. We're not going to necessarily be a 501c3 because we're not necessarily soliciting charitable donations, but we would be a nonprofit within the eyes of California. Yeah. There are formal functions that we would like the club to take on.
So this is to be a formal function that the club will take versus a ham club where people get together and.
Yeah, so this is a ham club where people get together, but also there are things that some, not all, but some members would sign up to do. For instance, looking after the town radio room.
But that could be separate of the club function.
Well, no, it could be, but it's, my mental model is that if there's an emergency, we need the town radio room up and running.
But
And
that's
so-
covered from CERT.
No, it's different radios. They're different communications media. They're different responsibilities. CERT is really about CERT functions and CERT back to town. The radio room here potentially is responsible for communications out to the county and even to the state. So there are different functions. And I think we need that, and the town would like that to be an organized function where members are trained on the radios, members commit to, keeping their training current and being available in the event of emergency to staff this radio room. There are also talks right now, the repeater that we all use for CERT is managed by the emergency group, I think is the title. And there's talk about potentially transitioning that into the club. And that again would only happen if the club has a formal organization because of the FCC requirements around that license to run the repeater, and about the need to have trained staff to work on the repeater.
So you haven't said that in either slide, so that's part of the goal of this is to take over that repeater.
Yeah, that was kind of when I was talking about proposed activities, I didn't put enough words to it, but you're right. That's one of the functions I see of the club. And yes,
Some of the meetings could be over as a directed net using.
Sure.
Los Altos Hills repeater.
sure.
That'll also give everybody an experience, ongoing experience on using a repeater.
Yes. Neil?
So I actually think the radio is a very poor medium for a meeting of this size. But I do think having nets where people can practice on the radio is an excellent. I don't think that's a replacement for a meeting. I think it's a supplement.
Yeah, in addition, that's what I know.
Okay. All right.
Wondering about the artifact of the whole ECC, which was this thing. If you lived outside the town boundary, you could only be an associate member. Is that in this because of the whole?
No.
legal thing?
No, go ahead, Neil. Well, I mean, the club is different from the ECC. Yeah.
Like that requirement, the way you defined associate was the same way that you defined associate only ECC.
Yeah, so an associate in the club is anyone outside of the Los Altos Hills County Fire District, which is different than the towns. That includes
Well, we have some Los Altos folks and we could expand it to include Los Altos also.
Yeah.
It's all up for discussion. The motivation for limiting it to geography is there has been history in the past where a bunch of people come in, join the club and steal the repeater.
Yeah, no, I'm only judging based on, for instance, you were in the county, right? In the old days, you couldn't be a member. In this, you can.
Right, but this is purely so that people from
That's
outside,
fine.
and if that's enough words, also.
I'm fine with that if that's what it meant.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more expansive than the way the ECC.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm confused. You had said, social club. And you're not describing far more than just the social club. And
Right.
what's going on?
Yeah. So I guess my model, my thinking on this was there's no organized ham activity here. We don't know who's active in the ham arena in the town or in the county fire district. And so this was to try and bring that community together. I think, but ham radio does have an emergency component, right? The ARL is all about that.
It's separate.
It is separate, but I'm proposing that be part of this group. However, folks, there's no mandate that, you must do this, you must do that. I think people who are interested in running the town's radio room, can sign up for that. They'll be, and interested.
I don't know that it should be under the auspices of a 501(c) called the Los Altos Hills Radio Club. My idea was, I want to get that. I haven't met anybody else.
Yeah.
You're here.
People my age, but it was just like, let's get together, why do we really need a 501c3 to have just social gatherings with nobody in charge, nobody wants to do it? It disappears. No
Right,
Structure.
right. So right now, we are a pretty free structure. We're not a 501c3.
Or not for profit,
Or not
whatever you want to
structure.
call
Well,
Met once.
so,
It's okay. Town really needs the help that the ECC provided, so the town is gonna support this and do this. It's not required. I mean, don't be mad at him because he wants to do this other stuff.
it.
It's
Not
got-
at all.
You sound like it.
No. just-
I mean, there's a lot of people in this room that,
happy boys.
oh, that is. It's worse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in this room that have very generously donated their time to help the town in times of emergency.
Appreciate that.
And that's just gonna include that function as well.
Okay, but it was premised as a
Thank you.
social
You
club.
understand.
So my expectation coming over here tonight was I was gonna get a name tag that had my name on it, my call under it, and we do a little bit of hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? I'll never forget your name, but, oh, are you on this repeater? Okay, I'll try to catch
But
up.
that's
catch
all we're
up with you.
doing, so.
I understand, but
Okay.
that's how it was positioned, at least in my presentation, is to the card that I got, and now I'm getting a pitch. And, so,
Oh, you know what? You and I should get together. We can talk outside.
yeah.
Go for it.
so,
And joining.
That's right.
yeah, so we're happy to have I mean,
That's cool.
but we're
Why
happy.
don't you go through the rest of your slides and we can finish it up?
Okay,
Good.
okay.
How many more do you have out of curiosity?
We're coming to the end.
The question, which I don't think we ever got any consensus or feedback on, was how often in the back.
I'm sorry.
How often?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think there's an answer to that, yeah,
so,
we should hear from some other people.
go for it.
so we're open. We don't want to, waste folks' time. And so, yes, sir.
What was your expectation of? Just out of curiosity, obviously you said you want something to sign up for some more hardcore type of legit radio activities. But the rest of us, what was the general idea?
So the general idea was a place where we could get together and we could learn about ham radio and meet our fellow hams. And so the concept of a tech talk would be where we get a speaker, whether it's from our group or from somewhere else in the community, to come in and present on something that they wish to educate us on, to help us learn. Could be repeater design. It could be on this high data rate emergency communications radio system, ARDEN. It could be on other things. It's a chance for all of us to learn about ham radio. So it's a chance to socialize, and then learn. And, how we want to go about that, we could have meetings that are strictly social, no tech talks. We could have meetings that are combination of both. It's really up to the membership, I think, as to what folks want to do. I enjoyed the idea of the tech talks came from the old ECC because there was a lot of deep expertise in there, and I was a newbie as a technician, and so it was just a chance to learn a lot. And so I think having a venue for that would be a great opportunity.
Sounds like just to understand all the acronyms that were thrown at the very beginning, it's gonna take a handful of meetings of, 45 minutes each.
Yeah,
to
sorry.
Figure out how all this stuff relates to.
Yeah.
what in the first place. I think it's a great direction to go. Yeah,
I mean,
I was wondering how.
I would like to have a vibrant ham radio community. And, I'd like us to know each other. I'd like to know where we all live, what repeaters we're on, have radio nets that we can communicate with, do things together and learn. I think, acronyms, I apologize about this. 5 years ago or 9 years ago, whenever I started this, I was drinking from the garden hose, and it's still that way. But the idea, what I have seen in the ham radio community and in meetings I've been at is that it's, you know, folks who've been in this for decades, have decades and decades of experience, you know, they have an understanding that, you know, well, if you picked up a textbook, you could maybe get to and experimented a lot. But there's no real place to learn. That's, I mean, short of like a YouTube video, you know, there's nothing that really lays it out. And I think to have experts come in and talk about certain subjects, you know, is a terrific opportunity to learn, a terrific opportunity to advance our skills, my knowledge, and make me just a more complete operator. I'm only a technician. You know, there's a lot of world that's open to me, but there's more world that's open as a general and above. So, you know, that's kind of how I want things. I'm not envisaging, you know, a regimented meeting structure, you know, where basically it's, you know, this, and if you don't volunteer for this, you're out. You know, it's supposed to be fun. I want a fun place. I want something where if we choose to meet at 7 o'clock at night, you know what? It's like, oh God, do I have to go? No, it's something where you do want to go. That's what I personally hope to deliver on for the club.
I meant this, Larry.
Yeah, Larry, go ahead.
I was listening to you and it reminded me when I was a new ham at NASA, and I walked into the ham radio room and had the same sort of feeling you were describing. The value of the club at NASA, at least, was that you had groups of people, subsets of the club, who were interested in virtually every part of amateur radio. I got involved in the emergency communications. There were other guys dealing with DXing, guys doing contests. When you have a critical mass of people, ham radio operators that I've met over the time love to talk about what they're most interested in. And if we could get that level of participation, I think it'll support itself is what I would expect, because you would have cadres of people in virtually every area, and the rest of us can learn, except when it's our turn to talk about what we're most interested in. It worked at NASA, and I'm sure it can work here.
Would you repeat kind of his comments?
Yes. So I'm going to paraphrase Larry, leap in if I get things wrong. But basically, you were saying at NASA Ames, when you were there, there was a large number of folks that were interested in a wide number of different areas. You focused on emergency communications, but others focused on different areas. And there was a lot of cross-pollination and chances to learn, especially for you. Kind of, I think you were echoing what I said when you started. It was a lot of acronyms and foreign territory, and these folks helped you in learning the hobby.
Yes, and the other part of that was they were inviting. It wasn't, you were not intimidated if you asked a question. It just led to a half-hour discussion, and it was exciting.
Yeah, that's a good point. He was saying that that as a newbie, the group was supportive. No, you know, they were, if he asked a question and there was no dumb question, they were very supportive of educating him. And that's the same type of environment I would like to get here, is one where there is no stupid question. It's a very supportive group. We're all here, you know, as a common community and just striving to share our knowledge and learn.
I've done it in a different way.
Yeah.
I owned a couple of clubs around, and there was a newcomer, just got his license. Very outgoing guy, and I do a lot of HF digital stuff. He was interested, so he said, "You want to meet for coffee?" I said, "Sure." I spent 6 months with him once a week.
Wow.
Teaching about antennas, transmission lines, so they could get set up. I don't see what's different from that if we have a social thing. completely separate from this kind of organization. Let's get together once in a while. Here's how you reach us. Join us, give us a call, something like that. And this seems to me, I'm not arguing with you. From what I want, and I think this gentleman wants, perhaps others want, is very informal kind of structure. Let's get together, meet for coffee, then we can split up. Somebody wants to learn about this or that. Intent is, I've got a whole bunch of stuff to read, take a look at it, we can talk about it. This is the equipment that I like to use, here's where you can go. But I am not interested in the rest of this. I think it can be handled. Emergency communications, but the groups that do EC stuff, whatever. I think that was one of the main things. But main things, I think in terms of learning, getting to know each other. If you don't want to meet informally, I don't care. You do, let's get together. That's what I came to expect when I came here. You want to do something, that's fine too.
So yeah, sorry, go ahead, Victoria.
Can you speak a little louder?
Yes,
Thank you.
is that good? Is that better?
I'm hearing you.
I've been told I don't have a very loud voice, so let me try to project here. Excuse my outfit, I've been suffering from migraine, but I'm from the Los Altos Hills County, Fire District. And, I have a teen cert program and I have some people who are interested, some teens in finding mentors for hams. This would be a club and a place that I would love to hook them up, where they can come and ask questions to you guys who have experience in the field. So there are different things that I'm hoping that we can do in the club that are social, that will also provide that mentorship. I've been here for about 3 years. When I first came, we had a great emergency communication club that was sunsetted or, gone away. We have a gap here. We have an emergency communication gap and we're trying to fill that as well. So I think, from the standpoint of seeing what I'm seeing here, I'm a ham too. I don't like to advertise that because I'm not a very good ham, but I'm learning as well. But I think that's what you're seeing here is that there are two components to this from what I think we're trying to say. And I can speak with the fire district. We are here to support whatever you guys have. If you want to have a party, I'm your girl. Okay, I'll bring food. We'll have a great time together. I'll bring some of my teen certs once in a while if you guys are willing to have them ask you questions. There are some that are getting their ham licenses. They just don't know where to go or have the opportunity to practice. Would love if you guys have an informal ham nets pop up. Would love for you guys to let me know. I can have the kids, come on. So, and again, if you're interested in doing this emergency component of the town that needs your help, we do need your help. And I would love to bring in a next generation of that help too. So that's my PSA. I could see this club, just in my humble opinion, going any way you guys want it to go. And I will be there to support you guys as the district. And this is one of our biggest supporters, our president, Roger Spree, always supports these programs as well. So please just keep that in the back of your head too. But I think there's some great suggestions on what you guys could do moving forward. Thank you.
Actually.
Yeah.
I wasn't vocal on that. And I just have some general comments, having come in late and just catching up. What is really a surprisingly fierce discussion, and we see the independent streak that runs through the use of ham is still alive and well. First of all, I want to thank Bill and you, good to see you as well, and Dave, for really always trying to bring community to what we're doing. It's so hard to get anything done without someone who really takes the lead on this. Second thing, the thing that really resonates with me is that what Bill just said is he wants to create a vibrant community of the ham folks here. Because if he doesn't do that, look around this room, I gotta say, the median age is pretty high. And in a few years, there ain't gonna be many of us here. I'm like Victoria, a fairly new ham. I went through the 1-day thing. I'm a technician a year ago. I was excited to do that. Really haven't used it. I'd like to. I'd like to see more people interested in ham for two reasons. One is I'm so excited by the teen cert, seeing how teens get interested in it and having them understand it. And also from an emergency point of view, I don't trust that cell towers are going to work when big emergencies happen. So I'd like to see a vibrant community of hands being able to get communications around town. We all have our own reasons we want to be here. But the key is just think,
We want a vibrant community, bringing new people in. Now, what the organization of this group is, or, you know, whether the meetings are parties or not, that'll get figured out. But I think that, and having different reasons for being here makes sense. But like everyone, you think about, how do we make this Ham community in Los Altos Hills bigger than the people that are in this room, and younger than the people who are in this room, and more knowledgeable than some of us in this room? Because I gotta say, I'm at probably the bottom of the list of knowledgeable Ham folks here in the room. So that's the goal. Now, however we do it, I mean, I appreciate people taking one-on-one mentorships. That happens a lot of times, but a lot of cases, I would imagine there are gonna be high schoolers on the circuit and say, well, how do I get started on this? Well, there's the Ham group. That's where we want to send them. Now, we used to have the ECC, and then that all the acronyms have changed, and there are different people involved in things. This is kind of dropped on the floor as to where do you go to make this exciting, to make this alive, to cover both the needed functions, like the ECC equipment, like the important repeaters, like the emergency uses, and also just the social uses of Ham. It makes sense to have one central place here that we can always point people to that can cover any of that. So I'm a huge supporter of this, both from the fire district, but also just as a resident. I would like to know more about how to do it, how to get more people involved. And it scares me to see this room being this small and this old. And I'm pretty old too, so I'm 62,
Yeah.
so, you know, it needs to be younger. How do we do that? And I think giving our support to Bill and Dave and Neil to say, how do we get started? It doesn't have to be intense. It doesn't have to be, we don't have to build a constitution and run it like an important, you know, strict organizations. Like, how do we make sure we're getting together every so often? What are the needs that we need to get done? Let's just start outlining some of that stuff and giving these guys our support to say, we want this community strong. Yeah.
So
let's see.
representing the town as your current vice mayor, and working closely with EPRC, which has now taken on the function of also planning for emergencies, adding to our safety elements and annex. It's a much bigger job that they've taken on.
Can you define EPRC?
Oh, I'm sorry, another acronym, Emergency Preparedness and Response Committee. So that they've taken on a bigger charter than just communications. There's a lot of people in this room that give a lot of their time and effort. These two gentlemen, this gentleman, and those gentlemen. That's really important for our community. We need volunteers to help us. We're not big. We have some interesting problems with emergencies. So that's an important function here, and we really, really appreciate it. So if you've ever thought about how does Los Altos Hills run, how do things get done, this is a great way to dip your toes into it. And yes, it needs to support the community. I mean, that's kind of why we're all here, is to support the community. So I think the emphasis on doing some particular functions is very important to this committee. If that's not what you're doing, don't do it. That's fine. They've worked hard. They work hard all the time. If we have good communications, it's because these gentlemen put their time and effort in, and they do it for free.
Thanks, everyone. So I would just say, you know, give it a shot. Nothing is set in concrete right now. And, you know, the meetings can be set, you know, how we want things to flow. You know, I would love to sit down with you and talk about antennas and so on, but it'd be a great opportunity for you to present to the group. And I wouldn't.
You're absolutely right. These guys don't know that stuff, you're right. Oh.
So.
I gotta do one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, no worries. We, you know, we'll take it however you can give it. If it's one-on-one, fine. So, all right. So how frequently do we want to meet? Do we want to meet once a month? Do we want to meet every other month? I don't, is there any general feeling? Neil?
So I know the three of us will do what it takes to support it, but I did want to ask who else in the room would like to present something? Because if it's just us three, I'm probably going to want to meet less often because it's a lot of work. And if we can spread the work wider, then more often.
I'm gonna play the age card for a minute. Some of us don't have as much time as
Yeah.
a lot of the others here.
would love to learn, not that learning means I run out, buy everything and set it up in my house. It just, some of us love to absorb all kinds of crazy stuff, right? It's just great to do it. I'm assuming this guy next to me doesn't have the time either, right? But it is nice to get out once in a while, see something different, hear some different jargon, meet a few different people, especially people who live in the same community. I think it'd be fantastic, but the level of commitment, I think, is significantly different between many people in this room.
Yeah.
Just having a place that is like on my calendar and takes me out of my normal daily routine or so, it's actually a really awesome thing.
Yeah,
So, from that point of view.
Yes, sir.
How about if we would organize a social session first?
Perfect.
Okay? Get together with name tags and spend a couple of hours talking to each other. Finding what's your interest, okay? My interest is VLF. Okay, I don't have a call sign, I don't have a handle. But VLF is transmission below 30 kilohertz. And the Navy transmitter close to Seattle that transmits at 24.8 kilohertz. And from there is a straight line to us. And in the morning, when the ionosphere delayer forms, you get a bounce, which interferes with the ground wave. And I observe beautiful dip in the signal. And it happens every day. Okay, so that's my area of interest. And I'm looking for someone I could discuss these things. So there are probably similar people, people with similar interests. So let's get together, let's find out. Okay, and then we can talk about these things. How often do we meet? Is this strictly people who are true hams, or is it wider technical interest?
I'm okay with that. I think I'm sorry.
David, were you gonna say something? How many invitations you send out?
172.
I found it from the paper.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so we were also in the town crier and the community briefs, and then we were in the Los Altos Hills town manager's letter.
Mine came directly to me.
So the FCC has a public database, and it's very imprecise, and it's out of date. So who knows? And yeah, Dave narrowed it down for me from about 500. So anyway, I'm glad. Thank you for coming. I'm glad all that worked. I'm perfectly happy with the first, meeting being mostly social. I still would like to drive forward on some things. I don't see a disconnect between a social club and one where we can discuss technical topics, and one where members who are interested can take on more formal requirements that the rest of the members don't need to do, and that's fine. I'm sorry, David. Yeah.
Yeah, no, just an idea of hearing to try to pull some of these threads together.
Yeah.
If it were I sort of thinking about it, I might commit to a series of months, 3 or 4 months, where at a given time, we'll have a half hour, 45 minutes. You just come and you meet and you eat. We'll provide some food. It's just because we're a community and we should all know each other.
Yeah.
And after that half hour, 45 minutes, those who want to stay for a subgroup for tech talk or this or emerging, great. But the most important thing, I think, is to tap the energy of this room, get to know each other, and bring some new people into this circle.
Yeah.
And learn some stuff that we might learn along the way. I'm in charge of the repeater and would love some help on that. But that's I'm more interested in meeting each and every one of you and understanding what you're doing. So I think we're overthinking this a little bit.
Yep.
And if we just make it fun to start, the rest will take care of itself.
Okay. Sounds good. Next meeting is gonna
Someone who doesn't know almost anyone in this room. I think having a little structure
is actually a good thing. To get more people in. It's very unlikely that you're gonna get anybody in. I would not have come today if it had been, oh, come and have cookies with, meet your, you know,
No,
so I
first half
think.
hours cookies, then there's
Right,
every
exactly.
time
So
there's
so
something. Yeah,
I'm saying that second
Oh, yeah.
part,
Oh, yeah.
I do think is valuable. I mean, what attracted me here was I am concerned about emergency preparedness and do we have the right communications in place if that thing were to happen? So I think having a little structure, including all of that, is actually more helpful in getting people in than my first. I mean, if it's purely social, you're right. You don't need any of this. If it's just come and have cookies and have
We have
coffee.
too many intellectuals around here.
I wonder if you should go around the room and everybody should just say one or two things like that, or that they came here tonight thinking or interested about, just to throw them on the whiteboard and see what the range of stuff is, because we might surprise ourselves with the diversity of interest.
Yeah,
and things.
I'm up for that. I'm getting the time signal. Yeah, I'm up for that. I'm gonna scribble in the open areas. So my professional life was in cryptography. So if you can't read my handwriting, it's your problem. So for meetings, we heard social to defined period like half hour, an hour, or whatever of social, followed by a tech talk. Oh, are you gonna? Oh, even better. See, Dave, you didn't want to type. And it didn't take much of my writing to dissuade you.
I still don't want to type. I'm just trying to get you some white background.
There's a whiteboard on the web.
There we go.
All right. Okay. So I'm not going to write anymore. Well, I think we're okay. Yeah,
Okay.
excellent.
You can have that.
So we heard and we heard the desire for structure for the club. And some folks would like no structure, just a social club. You're first. Anything else I should add? Okay. I know in tech topics, we had VLF, very low frequency. We had repeater help from David. Okay. Laura.
Arden you mentioned.
The whiteboard's not shared.
That's true. Maybe put the camera on it or.
No, it's a.
Oh.
So. Yeah, what do you?
Yes, sir.
One of the reasons I came here on the card was, emergency preparedness and whatnot.
Emergency.
If you guys aren't, whoever doesn't live up off the Pagano Road side, last winter, Pagano Road and Arastradero washed, and the sun washed out, brought it down to one lane. If that had been coupled with some sort of power outage disaster, cell phones don't work, et cetera, I mean, there's real good uses for the emergency aspect of this, but I don't know what any of that is. I don't know what the restrictions are. I don't know who in the world would be. So just that alone, as a tech talk or as whatever, I think it'd be really great as a resident of this town, I've lived here my whole life, is what is it? And I've had a ham radio license for 25 years, not you done anything with it. And it would be really neat to know all that and be a participant in when these problems come up. But it'd be great to eat cookies, but it'd also be really great to know all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect.
And it's not something I would expect to happen in 20 minutes or 45 minutes. It would have to be something that, you know, where's the repeater? Where's it?
Yep.
All these things over time would be fantastic. And if this is ground zero, that for this club and these members, well, these people can become members, we would be at the ground floor learning all about how it works. You would get a couple of younger people. I would be really interested in that kind of thing. Doesn't have to be every meeting, but I think if that is the purpose the club is existing for, I think some of us would love to understand
Yeah.
all of that.
What is our architecture? How does this work?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some people may know it so well, they don't want to come to that half hour or that hour.
I
That's
don't know, I've
fine.
lived here my whole life, I have no clue how it works.
But there's multiple of us who want to know that. Certainly any new people we want to bring in, need to know that from ground zero. So I think that's what I want to know. Is like, what is this network that we're trying to create here?
Yep. Sam?
Yeah, and part of that is how can I help?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, I like to be a part of that, right? Do
Thank
we
you.
need an extra repeater, or, you know, do I live in a place where a repeater would be useful? I don't know.
Yeah, some of us like to build projects. And that's why I got involved originally with the town back when we started the group in 2000. And at that point, Scott Overstreet, who is deceased now, unfortunately, was really involved. He dragged me to the first meeting. But building repeaters and setting up microwave links and doing projects is what a lot of us were really interested in doing. And the interesting thing is that to do that stuff properly, you have to have a lot of knowledge over a wide area. And I'm lucky because I worked for Motorola for a while, and I learned how to build repeaters and sites from Motorola. I went back to Schaumburg and got classes on how to deal with Intermod and how to do all this stuff. But what it taught me is most radios are not suitable for doing repeaters. And you have to do a lot to a radio before you can make it work in a crowded site environment. And, but that stuff is fun. When you get a good repeater working and you can talk for, 150 miles, it's great. And, this sort of thing can be a lot of fun, but it does require, there's a lot of work involved. Getting volunteers who want to learn this kind of thing is great. Building microwave links is another thing. When you build microwave links, it's like having a telephone line between 2 points, and you can use it for anything you want once you've got that link up and working. And that's what we did also. And now, of course, you just put internet on it. But back when we started doing this stuff, you didn't just put internet on it. You had to build your own network. And that was another challenge. You ended up learning a lot by working on that. But people want to find out how to do that kind of stuff and build projects that can be, and the thing is that when you build these projects, then the equipment and the networks that are available from those projects are extremely useful for emergency communications. And I know that because the network I was involved in was used in the '89 earthquake to provide emergency communications in the 5 gig band, which was, we were basically the only people in it at that point. But it was great because we could handle telephone traffic out of this immediate area, which you couldn't do because good old AT&T in their infinite wisdom cut off all communications between the Bay Area and everything else. And if you lived here and you found that out, but we had communications out because we went through Stockton and got out through Stockton. And, but you can do this stuff, but it does require, you need to spend some time and effort. Now, not everyone wants to do that. The social aspects are great because if nothing else, you get to tell stories about it. So.
Cool. So I think projects would be a lot of fun. Does anybody else want to add anything?
I think that's one thing that all of us have.
Yeah.
problems with.
Definitely.
Right, equipment, current best practice equipment.
Yeah.
Different people with different needs. It's always included now. In a way, I kind of see, having to map out what is it, this kind of following up on what we said, but mapping out what do we have? What happens in an emergency? Who else is speaking and going, where, and how do we fit into that? How does the whole thing fit together? Just seeing the map, how all this is supposed to come together. Yeah. How each of us can fit in. So that when, power goes out in the next few days, if it rains, as they're saying it might, where do I go to find out what's going on?
Something else to add? Nope. Okay. Anybody? Going once, going twice.
How do you
Yes,
get it to work with modern equipment? No one has a ham radio. So, relying on the few people that have got ham radios in an emergency.
So, sorry to be disagreeable, but ham radios have gotten exceedingly cheap. They're no longer the giant barrier that it used to be. Cheap.
So how many people have got them? And when you're in your car driving around, I don't know, maybe you carry yours, I don't carry mine. When 89 happened, I was in Japan and I couldn't get through to the Bay Area for 2 or 3 days, and it would be nice to have an overlay network on top of AT&T and whoever else that works with modern equipment.
I'd second that as, I find that the barrier to getting people into a license, is just too hard to overcome. And something that was simple, but an emergency network that we could use around town, be a great project. I'd love to go work on that. Laura would be an opportunity, but I'm not wedded to any particular technology. As far as I'm concerned, we could all get out in our cars and beep out SOS if that's what it took.
But everyone's got a cell phone,
Yeah, well,
so.
but
they
it
don't have a
requires a
ham radio.
power and a bunch of things that all go south pretty quickly.
Yeah, so that's exactly, and when people calling in to find out, what's really going on, if the network's up, it's overcrowded, you can't get through and whatever else.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have an overlay network on top of what you here, actually work with equipment that people actually have.
Yeah.
Well, as far as cell phones are concerned, you can overload the circuit too.
Sure.
I've been in Las Vegas for a conference. What was it? Broadcast conference, and a couple of times the cell phone system went down because there was too many people on it.
Yeah.
And that, I think, happened in '89. Yeah. I was at the radio room in '89, I think, during the quake.
And you've got now, free PBX and systems like that for telephone systems now that run over the internet and whatever else, and it'd be nice if we had a free PBX network that was ours and that worked, and,
Yeah, we could even discuss the kind of stuff that CERT has already put together for itself.
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of aspects to emergency preparedness. Certainly, we could talk about what CERT's doing in terms of the recon function and just CERT operation overall. We could talk about what town functions are, how the function out of the radio room here. I think kind of what I'm hearing from Roger and others is, what is the overall architecture of the emergency comm system? How does it power up? Who mans it? Et cetera. So I think, this is a quick snapshot, but I think, there are hours and hours of things that we can discuss in each of these areas. So yeah, I think that would be great.
Emerging SATCOM companies, there's several of them now, Starlink being one of them. More are coming online, so that could be a viable, I think a tech talk on that would be good. essentially questions, I'm not wed to ham, I just wanna know where I can go when main things fail. You know, the war, I just looked up to see what that is, I don't know anything about that. What are the right solutions that we should be looking towards to stay networked together when main things fail? But that's my interest.
Can you add drones to that? I'm serious. Drones tethered to the ground with, you know, a lot of things you can do.
You can even use for surveying damages.
That's right, yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think there are a lot of exciting topics here. And I think, you know, I think to be able to learn stuff in these areas would be great and would make for meaningful meetings. And so I like the structure of, you know, half hour, 45 minutes for dinner or whatever. We could get pizza or other exotic foods and then move to a tech talk and people can come and go as they want. And I really hope that we can be all things to all people. That's my desire.
She just done a conference sometimes with birds of a feather. I mean, we're pretty small, but when you come in that first half hour, I mean, given a set of these things, you can kind of figure out what are people interested in, who's there.
Yeah.
Various topics, then we can break out into who wants to talk about what the newer technologies are, or wants to talk about the frequency stuff, or
Yeah.
what I can imagine a group presentation to start off with about what is our current architecture, so that everyone can not speed. So
Yeah.
I can certainly see that the first meeting would be a good combination of structure and social, and going from there. It would be exciting.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, this emergency stuff that did exist, it kind of got sunset, and now it's trying to be part of this club. Do they do a practice or a drill, or is there like a frequency at which they wake the whole system up and?
Yeah, there's specified frequencies and
What, I mean, can you, if the club is gonna manage all that, set it up as an actual place where people can come and watch it happen.
yeah, so that would be an opportunity.
That's the whole point. The club should teach us what this.
The town tore it apart.
Oh, I'm not talking about,
Right, we go.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
saying that if it does exist, and it's physical hardware that's sitting out here on these hills. And I assume it's tested periodically, maybe, you know, occasionally
Yeah.
invite.
Every Monday
Some of us-
night at 8 o'clock.
Oh, exactly.
Well, there is a local sitting at 8 o'clock for Los Altos Hills.
Monday night.
That maybe it was like. twice a
Well, no, but we do other drills with, for instance, between the town and the county. So there are bigger drills. CERT will run drills between their location at Foothill College and the town. So there are lots of other things that happen over the year. And so I think, you know, from my perspective, it's hard to remember everything in the radio room. And so being there more frequently, using it more often is a good thing. So I'm totally up for that. And, you know, you're a licensed ham, you can use that equipment.
And you could just write the frequency out there now, couldn't you?
Yeah.
146,745. put it on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Don't forget the PL.
So let me just say a word about that while you're writing it. The repeater sits there mostly unused much of the time. Monday nights, we have a net and people can, for those who like to go through the experience of a formally run net, it's interesting and useful, but back in the day, repeaters were just there, people would chat on and meet and hang out. And there was always someone talking. If you wanted a conversation, you went there and there was
I
someone.
don't remember the
talking.
PL tone.
I would love to see our.
Was it 85? Yeah, maybe it is.
Monday night net, just for all of us, just to get on it. Yeah.
I can kick it, I can't carry it.
Really?
Wait a minute, that's not the right PL tone.
Thank you.
Well, we need the kind of party to get over your.
What is it?
house.
Is it 100 hertz?
Is it?
So I can,
Why go kick it? Fine.
So is everyone on the mailing list right now?
That's a good question. Is everyone signed up on the LAH Hams email?
I'm gonna propose putting, unless you tell me otherwise, everyone who signed up on the list, I will add you to the mailing list. assuming I can read your email. And we will send the repeater information out to the email list, so you don't have to write it all down right now. If you don't want to be on the list, talk to me before you go.
And
Yeah.
the Monday night name. Yeah, put the information about the Monday night.
It's not 100.
Yes, sir.
I've been a ham for 60 some odd years. Haven't done a thing for at least 50 years. I don't even know where to start. So how do you help somebody like me who wants to do some of these things, but doesn't understand what you do?
Is your license still current?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
Breaker 19.
I think it,
Question here.
Good.
I like the talks to come in.
You have a radio?
Don't have a radio.
Get it to me right now. Got it.
so,
$100.
$35.
Don't know where to start. Don't know where to start.
So- I think our first meeting next time, while we're munching great food, we can definitely help. Yes, sir.
So I don't think we finished how often to meet, so I'm just gonna propose.
Thank you.
Meeting next month.
Yep.
And we can decide then if that monthly is the cadence or.
I'm gonna go one step further. Why don't you say once a month for the next 3 months and then just see what it does instead of.
Tuesday of the month, the next 3 months. Or what's this? This is the fourth Tuesday. Fourth Tuesday for the month.
Does that
That
works? Does that work?
That's better in that we won't come.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
I can't now. You're right.
Well, so
Yes,
the
sir.
real thing with scheduling is that the town's committees and the town council and everything use the building, and we need to figure out a day that isn't the same.
We know somebody who's on the town council who might be able to take care of that for us.
She doesn't get complete control of
Although
it,
she-
but I
you have
will
a
talk to
budget
the
from the
person
town
who does do
council?
the scheduling.
They're all posted on the web, all the meetings, so you just work yourself in.
Anyway, I think for this meeting, I think we've settled the cadence and when.
Yep.
And we'll see if we can get the room, and if not, we'll pick a different date, and
Yeah.
apologies in advance.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to have it anymore.
Nope, we're done with that. Can we just go back to the slides?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
Those white.
Yeah. We can, there,
Literally just Amazon.
Serious, sorry.
Yeah.
And you can get a 2-meter 440 radio for under $100 in your.
And I will send the link, but the CERT website has recommendations for beginner kids.
yeah, yeah.
And then bring a radio and we'll do a chirp class and everybody can get their.
Yeah.
radios programmed.
Yeah, we can program the radio for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Because sometimes I remember putting in all these jail towns that was not.
A long time ago now, just downloaded them, they're all there.
All right. So, yeah, I guess I'll flip this. Oops, nope, don't go anywhere. We're good.
Well, there's stuff written on the other side too, so.
Oh, you can't do that because we'll blind people again.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. There we go. All right. So yes, ma'am. Yes.
All the experienced people tell all the rest of us how to get started.
Yeah, getting started. That's how.
Yeah.
And some examples of some good inexpensive radios that people can buy,
Yeah.
3 or 4 different ones. And how to make a screen not move.
How to get started or how to get restarted.
Yeah.
Well, some of us are starting. You guys need to restart.
Yeah, restart.
Is that okay, Andy? Or are you blinded?
Maybe just something just fracture more down.
I don't know.
Yeah, that'll do it, I think.
Anybody else okay?
Yeah. All right, so I would like to get other folks thinking about joining the officers and directors. So we can talk more about this next meeting, but it would be, you know, awesome to get a lot of help. So I think, you know, folks in the directorship, you know, VP, secretary. I'm not wedded to being president. If somebody wants to be president, I'm all for it. I'm happy to step back. Yeah.
You're doing great.
So,
It's too late.
Duncan,
We're all willing to say, show up for the next three, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Where. And try and drag somebody with you. And then at the end of that, see if we want to have a vote.
okay,
Right? And don't worry about it. Right now, president's vice president, bylaws. At the end of 3 months, you'll know whether you got something to draft and paper around.
yeah, I'm for that, but I'm also an optimist and would like to see this happen. Yeah,
Till we had enough sessions of
Uh,
enough value to keep people there.
You're acting president, congratulations.
Yeah, we're all unanimous.
yes, I mean, I have to act like one, I suppose. Okay, so, all right, cool, next. I think we're about done. Yeah, so we can skip this. So next meeting will be a social event, fourth Tuesday of the month. And we will just see what comes along. Neil,
I heard a few different things, so I just want to re-ask the
Yep.
question. Because I heard a lot of people asking, how do I get in, into HAM? So would people prefer purely social for that first meeting or purely social followed by?
And it'd be informational as well, not just.
Yeah, second.
I just.
Yep. Good.
Well, it takes time to prepare, so if we're gonna give a talk on how to get back into HAM, that's gonna take some time.
Yeah. Perfect. Let's aim for that for the next meeting.
You want to leave?
Cool. That's the last slide. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. And I hope to see you next time. If you want something other than pizza, speak now, because that's my favorite food group, along with donuts.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. and
That was great.
Your name?
My name's VJ.
VJ. Hey,
Yeah.
Bill. Yeah, good to meet you.
You know, so-
Okay.